Oh, hello. Namaste. Welcome to the first webinar for Project Bring Me to Life series of webinars that are going to be going on this week. I'll talk to you a little bit more about them at the end of the podcast, so you want to make sure you tune in to all of these amazing seminars that we're going to be offering this week. My name is Jodi, and we are at my shop, Piece of Me, and today we're going to be giving an introduction to Reiki. So, first of all, I wanted to give you an idea of what is Reiki and how it's used. So Reiki is actually a Japanese term, and whenever you break it down to translate it, Rei stands for ghost or spirit, and Ki stands for vapor. It's also known as the Chi of China, the Mana of the Hawaiians, the Prana of India. So basically what we're doing is working with a life force energy that is connected to God or Creator. Reiki is a non-invasive healing method that promotes relaxation and enhances the body's natural healing abilities. It also fosters mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. Reiki is based on the idea of an energy field that permeates the human body. So with Reiki, what we're doing is we're seeking to restore any imbalances that happen in the body. And this healing energy can be used to provide relief from conditions such as fatigue, pain, anxiety, PTSD. Also, it helps with the negative side effects of treatments and medications, joint problems, and other ailments. Western medicine will actually agree that 90 to 95% of the illnesses that manifest in our physical body first start in the energetic body. So with Reiki, what we're doing is clearing out that energetic body so we're less likely to get as sick. Also, what I deal with personally a lot in Reiki are the chakra systems. So with the chakras, it is a part of our overall energy body. And as you can see, there are several energy bodies that surround us. And the chakras are what helps flow energy into our body. So when our chakras are open and they're balanced, we feel good. When we wake up in the morning, we're ready to take on the day. Whenever our chi is low, then it's easier for us to get sick. Each one of these chakras have a correlation to our life and the things that are going on in our life. So when we take on belief systems or programs that aren't healthy for us, what will happen is it will slow the chakras down. And as they slow down, they can either close off completely, or if something else is going on in our lives, they can actually go overactive, so they spin the opposite way. Now, our chakras do come out of the body anywhere from 1 to 2 inches. So if we use a pendulum and we place it in the chakra, we can see how they are moving and how they're spinning. As I said, each one of the chakras have a correlation. If you're dealing with the root chakra, that's all about our survival skills. It's how we deal with the world. It's how we feel about do we have enough clothing? Do we have enough food to eat? Do we feel comfortable with being alive? The second one up is called the sacral chakra, and this is all about our passions, our desires, and our sexuality. Also, we have the solar plexus chakra, which is the third one up, and that one is all about our confidence, our self-esteem, and our creativity. For people who are empathic and you pick up on other people's energy and you can tell how they feel, you take that information in right at the solar plexus chakra. So that's why whenever you're out and you're talking or something is said, you feel like you're getting punched in the stomach, is because that's all going right into your solar plexus chakra. Next up, we have the heart chakra, and that is all about our relationships, our love, our compassion that we carry. The next chakra is going to be the throat chakra, and it is all about our communication. So this means, are we comfortable with speaking our truth? Are we doing so kindly? If we're always speaking in anger, that can actually cause it to slow down, or it can cause it to go overactive. A very common symptom of people who have a deficiency or an imbalance in the throat chakra is actually something like thyroid cancer. So when you have a balanced chakra and you feel comfortable speaking your truths, you're not as quickly to manifest those type of illnesses. Next up, we would have our third eye chakra. And the third eye is all about our intuition and our guidance system. It's that voice that tells us to turn left whenever we're driving home from work instead of going our regular way. Whenever we honor the intuition that we receive from our third eye, it will keep it balanced, and it always leads us to where we need to go. The last main chakra that people work with is the crown chakra, and that's all about our connection to God or Creator, our spiritual side of sorts. I'm not particularly biased when it comes to the religion because Reiki really doesn't have a religion. It was developed by Mikao Usui, who was a Zen Buddhist monk, and he found the information about Reiki in the Tantra of Lightning Flash. So the way that Reiki was actually discovered was by Mikao Usui, and what he wanted to do was find out how all of the great avatars, how Jesus and how Buddha and Muhammad, how they would do their healings. So what he ended up doing was learning Sanskrit, and he found some old writings that were written down by a disciple of the Buddha, and there was information about healing in that. What he ended up doing was going up to Mount Koriyama, and he did a 21-day fast and meditation. And on the last day of the meditation, when he threw his last rock over the mountain, what he ended up happening was he said there was a light that came and hit him in his head, and he fell over, and he saw the symbols that are used as a part of the Reiki 2 system. Now, with the Reiki system, there are 3 levels to Reiki. The first level is Reiki 1. And with Reiki 1, what that allows you to do is to do Reiki on people in person. So you can do it on somebody that is there in the room with you. It is the beginning steps of learning how to use Reiki. For Reiki 2, that's when we learn and we're attuned to be able to open up to send Reiki healing through time and space. And then the last level of Reiki is Reiki 3, and that's when you become a Reiki Master or Reiki teacher. This will fully open you up to the Reiki energy, and it will allow you to attune other people so that you can teach them as well. Some examples of things that can happen with Reiki practice. With Reiki 1 in person, a lot of times some people may absolutely feel nothing at all. And if that happens, that's quite okay because you're always going to receive what you need to from Reiki. There's no such thing as having negative side effects from it. So some people may feel nothing. Some people may feel heat that comes from the practitioner's hand. I've had people say that they saw colors. Some people felt like they were floating or they were spinning. I've had other people say that they felt like there was a magnet over top of them and it was just pulling negative energy out of them. However, there can be any type of experience that you can imagine during a Reiki session. From time to time, I've had some spontaneous past life regressions that pop up. So while we're doing the session, sometimes I'll see somebody in a past life and I've found out that the person that I was working on will have the same vision kind of, and they're seeing the same things. Also, there was a girl in particular that I was working with who had a brother that had passed away. And during the session, I wasn't really quite sure what was going on, but she was smiling and she was crying all at the same time, and she started talking and she was like, "Oh, you're so beautiful, you're so beautiful." And she's talking about this amazing light that's just coming into her eyes and how she can barely see from the light. And her hands were moving a whole lot. So when that session actually wrapped up, she had told me that she had seen her brother from the other side, and he was holding her hand. And they were able to have some closure with their relationship, and it's helped her heal a lot. So that was a really, really neat experience. With Reiki 2, it can still be felt as well through Reiki 2. I've had some people talk about how it feels like lightning hits them whenever it first starts, which is kind of funny considering that the information came from the Tantra of Lightning Flash. I just recently worked on a woman down in Florida, and she had really amazing results with just one Reiki session. What had happened is she had lost movement in one of her arms and her hand, And she was also having a heart problem, dealing with the death of a loved one. So I was asked to do some work with her. And while I was doing it, they actually recorded a video and they sent it to me. And it was really neat because she was showing the legs, and her legs were twitching and her arm was swaying back and forth. And at the time, I didn't have any idea that her arm wasn't in use and her hand wasn't of use. But I got a message a couple of hours later that said she was actually able to open up a 2-liter of soda for the first time in over 2 years. So there are some really amazing results that can come from this, both in person and at a distance. It all depends on the person. I think a lot of times it has a lot to do with the person's ability to open up and to accept the receiving of healing, because I personally believe in spontaneous healings, and Creator believes in spontaneous healings. So anytime we're pulling in that energy, and I know that you can heal simultaneously and spontaneously, Creator knows that you can heal spontaneously. A lot of time it goes through the belief system of the person who is actually getting the work done. So if you believe that you can heal spontaneously, that can happen as well. It's all really very interesting. So I wanted to also touch on how Reiki is being used in the hospital and also in the military system. There was a really neat article that was published by USA Today, and in that article they reported that 15% of the U.S. hospitals, that's over 800 hospitals in the United States alone, offer Reiki as a regular part of their patient services. And some of the hospitals that offer this are really, really big name hospitals, including the Mayo Clinic Health System, Johns Hopkins University, Columbia University, also the Cleveland Clinic, Duke Integrative Medicine, Inova Fairfax, and also locally around here at West Virginia University, they use the Reiki as well. And it's been neat what they have found with that. There was a nurse that was a Reiki practitioner, and one time she got pulled for a while from the section that she was working in, and she was moved to a different section or department in the hospital. And they ended up finding out that when she moved over there, their patients were healing a little bit faster than usual. And then when she went to go back to her own department, it kind of went back to the way that it was. So they did some tracking, and they found out that wherever this nurse had went to these different departments, the clients there were actually healing a little bit faster because they were receiving Reiki energy as well. There is a doctor, and her name is Marilyn Vega. She's a private duty nurse at the Manhattan Eye, Ear, and Throat Hospital in New York, and she's actually went out and quoted saying that Reiki sessions cause patients to heal faster and with less pain. And they also accelerate the recovery from surgery. They improve your mental attitude and reduces the negative effects of medication and other procedures. There was also a study done at Harvard Hospital in Connecticut, and it indicated that Reiki improved patient sleep by 86%, it reduced pain by 78%, reduced nausea by 80%, and reduced anxiety during pregnancy by 94%. So that is quite a boost in recovery, I would say. Also with the military, down at the Fort Bliss Recovery and Resilience Center, they have started using integrative medicine to help soldiers coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan. And they have found that the soldiers that are getting the treatment, they're getting Reiki, they're getting some massage, some reflexology, and acupuncture. They're finding that those soldiers don't have the PTSD rates and they don't have the suicide rates. Also, there was a newsletter put out by the Department of Veteran Affairs where they actually recommended Reiki for veterans to help reduce pain. So I thought that was really neat. So yeah, I was just wondering if anybody has any questions that they would like for me to answer before we go to our meditation.
Actually, we do have a question from one of our viewers. The question is from Samantha, and is in-person Reiki potentially stronger or more effective than distance Reiki, or is both just as effective?
Well, I would say that both of them are as equally effective because I've seen some amazing results both ways. Like I said earlier, I think it really comes down to the person that is getting the session. If they believe that they're going to be able to heal and see improvement, that's what's going to happen. Because I believe that everything really comes down to our own belief program, our own definitions of what healing is and what we believe is possible. Is there any other questions?
I'm checking the audience right now.
All right.
Could you tell us what it was like for you to receive your Reiki introduction and just what opened you to this experience?
Sure. So what ended up happening was there was a period in my life where I was suicidal, and I had to find a new way to live because every way that I was trying to die was not successful. So I started looking into meditation, and there was a really neat meditation that I found, which is the one that I'm going to walk you guys through in a couple of minutes. And what happened with it was I loved the way that it made me feel so much because I was just putting light through my body and working with it to push out the negative energy. So I started working with it and saying, like, okay, if I put my hands here, how does it work? If I put my hands here, how does it feel? And I started out that way. So about 8 years ago, there was it's called the Midsummer Mountain Triune Fair, and it was a festival put on by a group of people who are non-specific to religion. There's somebody from every religion that belongs to this group, and they do public rituals and things like that. So they had set up this really neat fair that people could come and experience all kinds of different things. And there was a gentleman set up there, and he was doing Reiki. So I asked him for a treatment, and I got it, and I absolutely loved it. So I was like, I really have to learn how to do this because I want to be able to do this all the time. So whenever I took his class, I actually ended up finding out it was pretty well much the same thing that I had been doing with the meditation with the white light. The only difference was with the attunement, I was able to channel more energy. And the way that that works out is the way that we pass Reiki on is completely different from a lot of the other healing systems. A lot of the healing systems is about learning to do this or learning to do that. And with Reiki, it's all about the attunement process itself. And how that works is the Reiki Master will actually go, and with the new practitioner, they will open you up at different parts or different chakras throughout the body to open you up to be able to channel that Reiki ray. And it's a really neat process because what will actually happen is whenever you do your attunement, you're going to go through a 21-day cleansing cycle yourself. And with that, the way that it works is for the first 24 hours after the attunement, it'll fine-tune the first 24 hours is going to fine-tune the root chakra. So it will help transmute lower vibrational energy to a higher vibrational energy. And so it sits there and it fine-tunes that root chakra for 24 hours. And after the 24 hours, it moves up to the sacral chakra. After 24 hours there, it'll move up to the solar plexus. 24 hours there, it moves up, and so on. Every day, it just moves up to the next chakra. So after the 7th day, what happens is it recycles through and it goes back to the root, and it helps to lift it up and to raise its vibration more and more and more. The next day, it goes back to the sacral. So you go through 3 total cycles of that, where you're just fine-tuning those chakras, and it's really interesting because whenever you practice, I always tell people whenever they get attuned, practice your Reiki every single day. Because I noticed when I was doing my 21-day attunement, I would have different ideas or thoughts that were coming to my head, and I would sit back and look at it for a second, and I would realize that a lot of these things had to do with the chakra that I was working on that day. So if I was thinking about a relationship or something, I would take a look and I would be like, oh yeah, I'm in my heart chakra today. So it also gives you the chance to heal the things going on in your body. You can bring a new perspective into old things that may have been dragging you down in the past, and you can heal from those things, which means you're releasing the negative energy and bringing in more light. It gives you the ability then to channel more light as well. A lot of people really recommend that, like with Reiki 1, you want to make sure that you get into healing yourself first before you start going out and working with other clients. Of course, you can work on other clients whenever you have been attuned to Reiki 1, but you want to make sure that you're really comfortable with the way that it feels and the way that it works. And trusting your intuition, because a lot of times during a session, what will happen is there's a series of hand movements, basically. So like the first one, you might be putting your hands over their eyes, or you might be putting it at their crown chakra. And if you're in tune or you have you're comfortable with your intuition, something might say, oh, wait a minute, go down here or go down there. Or you might have the person that you're working on, like one of their guides might step through and they might have a message to deliver or something like that. So you have to feel really comfortable with being able to honor the messages that you receive so that you can do the Reiki session properly the way that that person needs it, and also to be able to convey any messages that you may receive during the session.
Beautiful. You mentioned Reiki 1 and the being able to work on other people. Could you go in a little bit more about the different levels of Reiki?
Sure. So like I said, with the Reiki 1, basically what's going to happen is you're going to be attuned at the crown chakra, the third eye chakra, the throat chakra, and the heart chakra. And that's going to allow you to channel that energy. You can work on people, you can work on yourself, you can work on animals. Animals absolutely love Reiki. I used to volunteer a lot at the local animal shelter, and whenever we would have sick kittens, I would be giving them Reiki, and they would actually love the feeling of it. It's really neat. I taught this woman because I had this woman that would come see me every week for like a month, and she kept swearing up and down, this has got to be a gift. It's only something that a select few can do. And I'm like, no, anybody can do Reiki. So she took that as a challenge, and she actually took my class to see if she could really do it. And she wanted to do it because she was working with her animals. They were getting older. They were having hip pain and things of that nature. So when she took the class, she started practicing on her dogs every day. And it was really, really funny because 2 weeks after she took her attunement, she calls me and she was like, how do I turn this off? I was like, well, you don't really turn it off. You're going to have it for the rest of your life. But I told her how to ground herself out and how she could use it with her dogs. It was really cute because she was giving her dogs the Reiki every day. And she said that one night she had forgotten to give her dogs Reiki and she'd fallen asleep. Well, she got woken up like an hour and a half to 2 hours later with her dog like literally trying to scooch his butt in between her hands to get his Reiki session. And he really wanted it bad, so he was like, here's my butt, do it to me anyways. So yeah, with the Reiki 1, you can also, plants absolutely love Reiki as well. There's a plant that I have here called a Hoya carnosa. And my friend actually gave me a snip of it because she's also a Reiki practitioner, and she would give this plant Reiki all the time. So one time she had her hands out and she's projecting this Reiki energy to the plant, and she said that the plant literally came up and wrapped itself around her arms because it just loved the feeling of the energy so much. And I totally believe that that's possible with plants. If you guys have ever read the book, or if you haven't, it's a really good book to read. It's called The Source Field Investigations, and it talks about the consciousness of plants. So it's really neat, and it's a really good way that you can help your plants grow if they've been having any issues, or if you forgot to water them or whatnot. So that's going to be a lot of the Reiki 1 is when you're working with people in person. Now with Reiki 2, it's going to be a little bit different because the symbols are given to you during the Reiki 2 part. And one of those symbols is to be able to send Reiki through time and space. So this means that if I need to send Reiki to my friend in California, I can do that through distance. Also, it means if I need to send Reiki to the future, say I have an interview going on, I can actually send Reiki at that time. And at that time, you can actually feel that energy come down and start to surround you and help you through that time. Also, I have a story that I like to talk about where I used Reiki to heal something from my own personal past. It was really interesting. I think I've talked about it before, but what had happened was there was this song that I used to listen to a lot whenever I was suicidal. And I have an ex that would play this song all the time, and I would get so angry. I was like, why are you playing that song? You don't even like country music. So I started to realize, like, wait a minute, that was 10 years ago. There must be something that's still going on for me to still be angry about this, for me to not be healed from it and to have this kind of reaction to this song. So what I ended up doing was just centering myself while he was playing the song, and I just closed my eyes and I opened up my heart and I used my time and space symbol. And I sent all of the love and Reiki energy that I could to suicidal Jodi that was going insane. And it was crazy because it was like I was standing in 2 times at the exact same time, because while I'm sending all this love, all of a sudden it came out of my mouth, everything will be okay. And I also remember one specific night whenever I was suicidal that I was literally sitting at my desk and I was pulling my hair. I was like, God, please make this stop. I can't take it anymore. And at that moment, everything will be okay came into my head. And I completely had forgot about that night until that moment when I was listening to the song in Today. And it was really funny because after that happened, anytime that he ever played that song after that, there wasn't any more worry. There wasn't any more anger. There wasn't any more resentment. Everything was okay. I was no longer affected by this song. And I feel like that really went back and it helped me to heal that past, some dimension or aspect of that time period that I hadn't either forgiven or I hadn't processed properly, I guess, that it went in and that helped release that negative energy. And it helped me move on. And then with the last level of Reiki, like I said, basically what that's going to do is open you up fully to the Reiki ray. And you'll be able to channel at the highest amount, I guess, with the Reiki 3 attunement. And what that basically does is it just teaches you the last couple of symbols. Like there's like the Tibetan master symbol and Daikumyo, and those are taught during the Reiki Master class. And with that, you will use those symbols to attune other people. So basically with the Reiki Masterclass, you're learning how you can teach others and how you can help pass the Reiki tradition along. And I know like one of the main things with the way that I teach with it is like, I will show you what I do and how I do it and tell you the things that work for me. But I think that Reiki is also something that's very personal. The way that I do Reiki is not exactly the same way that my Reiki master does it. And I don't expect any of the people that I've taught to do Reiki the exact same way that I do, because I think it's all very personal for us. So I tell people to use what you like, tweak what you like, and throw away what you don't like. So it's all very interesting whenever you add it up. You can take a Reiki 1 class and just work on people in person. You don't have to necessarily go to Reiki 2 or Reiki 3. With that being said, you can also get Reiki 1 or Reiki 2 attuned, and you don't have to necessarily take the master class if you're not interested in teaching it. Even if you do take the Reiki 3 class, that just fully opens you up. If you don't feel comfortable with teaching, it's not something that you have to do. It's just something you can do if you decide to go that route.
Beautiful. We do have a couple questions coming in from several different social medias. Cool. If you're listening to this video and you're enjoying what Jodi has to say, please take a moment and share it on your favorite social media. We can be found at PBM2L on Twitter or Project Bring Me to Life on Facebook. Our next question from a viewer is, why is Reiki most powerful using the hands?
Well, I think that's because it's where our intention goes. I think whenever you make the connection, you're sending that energy through the hands. I know with me personally, and it's something that felt different through time, it's like I can actually feel Reiki through my entire body. Like if you go to give somebody a hug, they call it Reiki hugs, and you can hug that person and they're going to feel that Reiki energy. So originally there's the intent to use the hands. I guess it would be a lot harder to use it with your feet, but also there's other ways that you can use it too. There's the Lakota tribe is very big into Reiki, and Grandma Morningstar has been very adamant about people finding Reiki masters and learning how to heal themselves and help heal others. And Chief Golden Lightning Eagle, he has a couple videos out, and he talks about how Reiki people should learn to heal not just with their hands, but with their hearts, with their third eyes through vision, and also with your eyes. When I first started practicing, I was just getting the sensations in my hands. And it's interesting because you'll feel like a pulsation in your hands. Sometimes you'll feel like there's an opening, like a hole that's opening into your hand, and the energy is just flooding out through that. Sometimes I feel a lot of tingling, or like things are coming out through the fingertips, but I can also feel it resonating out through my entire body. So I really believe that while we may feel it mostly through our hands, it's actually permeating through our entire body, through our entire energetic system. And it's, whenever a Reiki practitioner is giving somebody Reiki, they're also getting a healing themselves as well. So you're getting the benefits of it throughout the entire body. Also with it, the longer that I practiced, the more that I was able to do and to see. I guess the more that I allowed myself to open up and the more that I felt confident with my practice. At first, I didn't see a lot of colors myself. I would just feel the energy coming through my hands. Nowadays, I can, either if my eyes are open or closed, a lot of times I can see a lot of light that just comes in around that person. So I don't even know necessarily that it's guaranteed that it's just coming through my hands. Sometimes I think it's just an energy that's wrapping through me and it's wrapping through that person, and the energy is just coming in and it's helping to heal them all over.
Beautiful. You actually answered several questions with that.
Woohoo! Knock them all out.
How, I believe you answered it, but the question was, how do you know the energy is flowing?
To begin with, you just have to trust it. I have had some people that whenever I taught them, they didn't feel anything from their hands. You just have to know that it's there. And the more that you get used to working with it, the more that you're going to feel it. As I was saying, the woman that called me 2 weeks later, I was like, how do I turn this off? When she first started when she first got attuned, she didn't necessarily feel it coming through her hands, and she got a little disheartened. And I was like, I promise you, just keep practicing with it. I tell people a lot too, like to bring your awareness into your hands. Like a lot of the times we want to feel things like physically inside of our body. But a lot of times when you bring that awareness just around your hands or around your body, you can feel the energy flowing that way.
Another question from Samantha. Have you noticed a correlation between where you feel the Reiki energy the strongest and where the healing needs to be happening in the client?
Well, what will usually happen, depending on the practitioner, and this is the case for most of the practitioners that I know. So let's say that you're working on somebody and they've got back pain. What'll happen a lot of the time is that when you're working on them, you're going to feel back pain in your back. If they're having other pains throughout the body, when you're in that area, you can feel like acute pain or tingling in that sensation. So you know that there is a level of discomfort in their body there. So that will give you like an indication when you're scanning through, like you're just moving your hands down the body, you can feel that energy pulling off. So whenever you feel it moving, you just keep letting it flow there. And then you kind of have an indication that it's filled in that area because you won't feel the energy pulling through your hands as much. And that lets you know you're kind of guided to being able to move on down the body.
Beautiful. Can the flow of Reiki be affected by the health of the practitioner?
Absolutely not. It does not. What's going on is you're tuning into creative source energy. You're tuning into chi energy, universal life force. So you are pulling that in and you're channeling that to the person. So you're not going, it's called fifth dimension or fifth plane, I'm sorry. That's where like a lot of shamanic work is done. And that's what happens whenever you're giving them your own personal energy. And so like I've met with some Reiki practitioners that they're saying they're getting tired a lot whenever they're done giving a session. And when that's happening, that's when you know that like you're giving your own personal energy to that person instead of connecting with the universal life force and letting that flow through. There have been times whenever I have not necessarily felt the best. I would be sad or whatever that day. And once you've been doing it for a while, you kind of learn to set those things aside. Like those things aren't really important. If you have a cold, I wouldn't personally give a Reiki session to somebody if I was sick, like with a cold, because I just wouldn't want to give them the germs. But if it's a day where I'm just kind of feeling crappy, I center myself, sage myself, and I set that all aside. And even if you're not having that good day, like I said, you're pulling in that life force energy and you're channeling out. So you're not even giving them your personal energy. So no, if you're not feeling good, you're still safe to give it to somebody.
That sort of touches on our next question, is can we be depleted of our own energy when giving Reiki?
Only if you're using your own personal energy. Like I said, you want to connect to the universal life force. You want to bring that down in through your body, and you want to make sure that you're using that. If you just go into somebody and you don't really prepare yourself for it and you just stand there and you're like, okay, I'm just going to send them energy, you can deplete yourself. And that's why I was saying like a lot of practitioners would say, oh, I'm so tired after I've done this session. That's because they've not fully connected into the proper stream of energy. They're just using their own energy.
Can Reiki be used with other forms of therapy?
Absolutely. I actually, when I'm doing Reiki, sometimes I end up using some Theta Healing as well, because I'm a Theta Healing practitioner. And with the Theta Healing, what you can do is you can go in and remove like psychic cords, you can remove attachments, you can pull threads of energy that's related to trauma from the past. You can help them remove resentment and regret from like past life issues. So if I know something that's going on, I will actually go ahead and start using Theta. I do a chakra balance at the end of my sessions. So I will actually use Theta with that, where I'm making the commandment, Mother, Father, God, creator of all that is. It's commanded that all energy less than love and all thought forms in and around the root chakra be pulled, cut, and released to the creator's light for cleansing. And unconditional love is downloaded into its place. And we're also downloading strength and security and love for life and understanding life and the love for life from the creator's perspective instead of the ego's perspective. So for me, yeah, I mean, I use Reiki, I use the Theta Healing at the same time. I know some people too that will, that are like hypnosis. They have the certification in hypnosis. So they'll do a couple of, they'll say a couple of sentences just to train the mind to slow down and to relax and to put them into like a meditative state to help them get into more receptive, a more receptive state so that they can take more of the Reiki energy in.
Awesome. Does the use of crystals or other sacred tools amplify Reiki energy?
Yes, absolutely. As you know, crystals have an electrical pulse that can be detected. Also, our bodies have electrical pulses that can be detected. So whenever you put two electrical pulses together, you're going to have some sort of reaction. There's a lot of people that will make chakra sets. So the colors of your chakras are Roy G. Biv, just like the rainbow: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. So they'll put a stone on each of the chakra points while they're doing the session to help those balance out as well. There will be more information coming up this week when Shannon provides her webinar, and it is actually about using Reiki with crystals, and she's doing that on the 24th of this week.
Yep.
So you can tune in and you can learn a lot more about how to use crystals with Reiki as well.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm super excited to teach about crystals and Reiki and how they interplay with each other this Friday. So I hope to see you all there. Our next question is, how can Reiki be used to increase mind power?
To increase your mind power?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would say that our mind power comes from our definition and our belief of where we are at with our mind and its power. So if you have belief programs that are telling you that you're not good enough or that you're not powerful enough, you can use Reiki to work on things like worthiness. Confidence is a lot to do with it, because when you have that confidence, you allow your mind to expand and to be at its natural capacity. So it helps you kind of remove those blocks that tell you that you're not good enough or that you can't do this. When you're giving yourself Reiki with your mind and with your body and your soul, it just helps open you up a lot more so that you can increase your vibration, you can increase your level of awareness as well.
Beautiful. We have about 20 minutes left. If you're watching this live and you would like to ask us any questions, please feel free to send them in the live chat. Also, you can comment us on the YouTube video or via Twitter or Facebook. If you're watching this and it has been recorded, still feel free to send us questions and we will try to answer them to the best of our ability and get them back to you. Our next question is, can Reiki be used to help in healing ancestors and past lives?
That is an interesting question. If you're trying to heal is this like an ancestor that you were in a past life? Like, because sometimes people will say like, I was my great-great-grandfather in a past life. Whenever I have done anything like that, I have personally used like the Theta Healing to go along with it. And like I said, I believe everything is done in intent. So whenever I'm using that Reiki energy, I would make the intent that we have to go into this life or this aspect of our genetic line, and we have to help heal it and to release the trauma or help raise the vibration of that event, to help heal the DNA. Because what's going on a lot of times is whenever things are handed down genetically, is it's locked into our DNA. So whenever you go in and you're working with that DNA and you're pulling that belief program, you're healing that aspect from the past. I don't know if that answers your question or not.
I believe it helps. The next question is, can Reiki still flow if I fall asleep? So I suppose they mean if the client or the person receiving falls asleep.
Actually, yes, you will receive it, I believe, a little bit stronger, because I've noticed whenever I've had clients to fall asleep on the table, that the energy pulls through my hands a lot stronger because they've kind of let go of everything. They have gone into almost like a state of suspension and meditation. So there's not as much mind chatter going on. It's like, what is this I feel? Or is this real? Or am I really experiencing this? They've just let themselves relax and they've completely opened up to the power of Reiki energy. And even to take it a step further with that, a Reiki practitioner, I don't know if I'm sure if it's needed, it would go out while you're asleep, but once you get attuned to, there's been times when I've walked past people and my hands will start pulling. I literally feel like the Reiki coming out of me, and it's like that person needed the Reiki energy. Also, there was one time I was in a vehicle and we were coming down. It was like this really huge field and it was summertime. So the grass was really high on both sides of the road. And we didn't know that there was a deer coming like right in front of the vehicle until it was really too late. And we ended up hitting this deer. So we stopped the car, excuse me. I jumped out as fast as I could and I was like, oh, how's the deer? And as soon as I jumped out, like I could feel the Reiki just coming out of my hands. And the deer jumped up like really fast and took off over the mountain. So I literally stood there and I could feel the Reiki just pulling and pulling and pulling. So I stood there like projecting this Reiki and letting it go to wherever it needed to go until I didn't feel it pulling from my hands anymore. So a lot of times, even for the practitioner, like if there's something going on around you, it's kind of, I don't know if it's your higher self. It's just like this intuitively, you start sending energy to that person.
Beautiful. We're starting to run low on questions, so if anyone wants to ask any before we start to finalize this webinar, we would love to take them. But just in general, let's touch on, is there an age limit for getting a Reiki attunement? Can anybody be attuned to Reiki? And are you going to be doing Reiki 1 attunements in the near future?
Yeah. So I personally believe that anybody can do Reiki regardless of the age. I know a lot of times with children, they usually don't start attuning them until they're old enough to kind of understand what's going on. So even at like the age of 7 or 8, children could be attuned to Reiki, and they understand that there is an energy that's coming and that it's helping them and it's helping other people. I've also worked on, or I've attuned a woman that was in her mid 80s and she was all kinds of excited. It's something that she wanted to learn and do and grow. You're not ever limited by your age. You're only limited by what you believe can be possible. So here she came in her 80s and she took her Reiki 1 and her Reiki 2 class and she loves it. She's using it all the time. She's using it on her nephew, on her grandson. She's using it on her children at distance, in person. She uses it with the plants. We're never ever limited by age whenever we can practice Reiki. We can really do it at any time.
Beautiful. We have another question about Reiki symbols and why do some use them and when will we learn them?
Okay, so with the Reiki 2 symbols, the reason that they're used is because they're symbolic of different things or types of energy that we want to use and put into the person. So an example would be like the chakra symbol, and that basically kind of looks like a music symbol. And that is used to amplify energy. It's used to clear energy. You can use it in a room to help clear the space in the room. You learn to do a Reiki 2. During Reiki 2 is when you're actually given the most of the symbols. Personally, I teach the chakra symbol during Reiki 1 because in my manual, it talks, it gives you like an order of how to do a Reiki session. And in that, it keeps talking about using the power symbol. And that's what chakra is called, the power symbol. So whenever I learned it, I'm looking at this and I was like, use the power symbol here, use the power symbol there, use it there. And I was like, okay, well, I wasn't taught that. So it caused a lot of confusion for me, like having to go through and like cross this out. So I decided that I was just going to start using or teaching people how to use that symbol during the Reiki 1. And honestly, I don't think that it's not worked for people. And going back to the one question, there will be some Reiki 1 attunements that are coming up. I do them every month in the shop locally. And then also our follow-up to this webinar is going to be a Reiki 1 certification course and class. And that is going to be next month.
August 17th, I believe we have you scheduled to start doing Reiki 1 attunement. So if you're interested in getting your Reiki 1 attunement with Jodi, there is a sign-up page on projectbringmetolife.com where you can send us your information so that she can get in contact with you on how to schedule those.
Yes, absolutely. Because what we're going to do that day is on the webinar, we're just going to go through the manual and the material, and we're going to learn that. But then what I want to do is meet with each person individually through Skype or Google Hangout, and I will do the attunement long distance. And I just prefer to do it like more one-on-one that way, so that whenever I connect to that person and attune them, it's much more personal and private. And I like that intimate setting whenever, for me, a Reiki attunement is very sacred. So I like keeping that intimacy whenever we're doing it. So I think on the 18th, we're going to start scheduling people to do one-on-one with the actual attunement itself. So we'll learn all the material on the 17th, and then on the 18th, I will start going through meeting with people at specific times so that we can do their attunement process. And then, like I said, after you get your attunement, you will start your 21-day cleansing cycle.
Awesome. So to sign up for that, there is a button on the front page of projectbringmetolife.com. It says webinars. After you go to webinars, there's a list of the webinar options that we currently have available. And you just go to the Reiki 1 and we will have that sign up available. Will there be a fee for this course? And what is the difference between an online attunement and an in-person attunement?
Okay, so the cost of the class is actually $100, and that includes your manual, also your certification. So with your certification, that would allow you to start being your own practitioner. Like I said, you can work on yourself, and then you can actually start working on other people with your own practice in it. What was the second part of that question?
The difference between an online attunement and an in-person attunement.
Okay.
Is there one?
I don't think there really is one. Whenever you're in person, like I'm physically touching you, and then what happens too is like during a Reiki 1 attunement, whenever I'm working on somebody, like I'll attune their crown and I'll tap on their shoulders. When I tap on their shoulders, they bring their hands up and I literally blow into their hands and I tap them so that we can seal that energy in there. So you get to feel that personally. But with the Reiki 2, what happens is I will actually remotely connect to you through what you could either call like astral projection or through the Theta Healing. Basically, I'm connecting to your crown chakra and I'm attuning you, kind of as like a stand-in proxy. I have done both of them, and I have found that so far, like all the people that have been attuned at a distance have still been able, they feel the Reiki, they felt the attunement when it happened, and they were able to start using it right away. So there really isn't much of a difference other than being there with me in person and like literally feeling me tap on your shoulders, on your physical body.
Beautiful. And will viewers that find this webinar at a later date be able to contact you to go further with their Reiki journey? And can you provide them with an email help, if so?
Sure, absolutely. I can help anybody that wants to start their Reiki practice, or even if they want to continue off where they've gone. I've had some people that came to me that had their Reiki 1 attunement or their Reiki 1 and 2 attunement, and they wanted to go on to that next step. So I can help people at any one of those levels. See, I'm like...
What is the email for people to reach you?
So to reach me, I have several different ways that I can be contacted. The email address that we have is peaceofmehealing@gmail.com. Also, if you're on Facebook, we have a Facebook page, which is facebook.com/peaceofmehealing. We have a way that you can send us a private message on Facebook. Also, if you're on Twitter, you can hit me up at Jodi_peaceofme, and you can find me that way as well. If you want to even contact the shop directly through phone and you want to talk to me about it before, you even do anything and you just want to discuss the situation, you can call me and we can talk over the phone. And that number is 240-362-7484. That's 240-362-7484. I'm in the shop Tuesday through Saturdays from like 11 to 5 or 6 o'clock. And you can always leave me a message if I don't answer, if I'm busy with somebody, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible.
That is awesome. This has been an amazing webinar. We are so glad to have Jodi here at Project Bring Me to Life to be teaching Reiki to all of you awesome listeners. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us via any of the outlets Jodi just provided you, as well as projectbringmetolife.com. Our email is bringmetolifeproject@gmail.com, and we are looking to provide you with more webinars in the future, as well as our weekly podcasts that we will be getting back to next week. So please join us. And again, thanks, Jodi, for coming on and doing this amazing webinar.
Thank you. The last thing I want to do, just to end this off with, is a little meditation. This is the one that I was talking about earlier. And I think if you want to just start feeling and working with that energy, this is a really good meditation to go ahead and start with in the meantime and see how you like it. So if you all can just take a moment and take a couple of deep breaths and close your eyes. You can just let all of the stress and the worry from today just melt away. We don't have anything to worry about right now. We can just feel our own peace that we have inside of us. So I want you guys to bring your awareness to the crown, to the area of your head, and you can just feel the energy. Bring your awareness here and feel the energy at the crown. And just sit with it for a couple of seconds. And sometimes if you're used to feeling energy, it almost feels, for me, like a football dome. It's kind of opening up, and it's just coming, like your head is just, the skull is opening up for all of this amazing energy. So when you feel that awareness that's in the crown chakra, make the intention to connect to Creator and see this beautiful, beautiful white light. I use white light, and I bring it all the way down into my head, and I'll just feel it slowly come into my eyes, and it lights up behind my eyes, and then I can feel it coming down through the jaw, and just feel how it moves down through your neck, and then it flows through your body, down into your stomach, down into your legs, and then push that energy and just feel it flow all the way down into your feet. Now, once you've got this energy that's going from the crown of your head down into your feet, I want you to visualize that energy going down into the earth and just taking it all the way down into the center of the earth and connecting it to the core of the earth. So what we're establishing now is this direct connection. We're pulling in Creator's light and energy, and we're bringing it down, and we're grounding it into the earth so that we're protected during this process. Now, when you're feeling that, make sure that you're bringing the energy through your arms. Feel it come down through your elbows. It comes in through the wrists. You can feel it coming out through your palms and through the tips of your fingers. With this, make sure that you're bringing your awareness into the area around your hands and just feel that. Sometimes people will feel it as like a vibration, as a heartbeat, or just as a flow of energy. And as you feel that, you can put your hands wherever it is that you want to work with. If you have a headache, put your hands on your head and visualize this amazing energy coming out from your hands and flowing into your body, and it wraps into your head. And intuitively trust what you see. So if you see any darkness or any redness or anything that's out of sort, I tell people just use that energy like you're using a magic paintbrush and color that beautiful white light energy and push that darkness out. So you can use that anytime, anywhere on the body that you're feeling discomfort. And the more that you work with this meditation, the more that you're going to feel the chi energy, and the closer you're going to get to actually being able to channel that. So whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and open your eyes, wiggle your fingers and toes. I would like to thank you all for joining us during this webinar. And I would like to invite you guys to visit the rest of the series of seminars that are going on this week with Project Bring Me to Life. Tomorrow we have a very, very interesting webinar that is going to be presented by Ashton Robertson. And the title of that is Expanding Your Consciousness. And then on the 23rd of July, Suleiman will be doing his webinar on connecting with the Creator. And then as we were mentioning earlier, you want to make sure you don't miss Shannon's webinar, which is going to be on using crystals with Reiki. So you can even learn a couple of more tips about how you can use Reiki and bring it into your own practice as well. And then on the 16th of August, there will be a special presentation by Project Bring Me to Life. They are going to be doing a live workshop with Robert Harding and with, oh my goodness, I'm completely like brain farting at this second. It is Robert and Howard Reynolds. I love you, Howard. They're both very, very awesome people. So with Howard Reynolds, he is an acupuncturist here in Cumberland. He has also studied in traditional Chinese medicine, and he has studied with the Mayans, and he teaches meditation classes at our local Allegheny College as well. Our friend Robert Harding is from London, and he is joining us in August. So he'll be in Cumberland starting August 4th through the end of September, and he's available for healings in the shop. But he's also going to be doing this class, Empowering the Inner Healer. And Robert is really, really interesting as well because his journey started over 16 years ago. He had a vision of the Mother Mary, and he found that he has a very interesting connection to the Blue Star Prophecy of the Hopi Indians. And his story is really neat because he shows how whenever you open up to synchronicity and you follow through with the information that you're given to synchronicity, beautiful things can happen. So they will be providing this information on Empowering the Inner Healer on the 16th from 1 to 3 p.m. And this is going to be a workshop based on how to unlock blockages in our DNA. So if you want more information about Empowering the Inner Healer, you can look at Piece of Me's Facebook page. Also, I'm sure you can get the information on Project Bring Me to Life, as they will be doing a live stream of that as well for us, so that anybody can join us in the world if you can't be here.
So awesome. So much awesome information. And the 16th will actually be bumping us off for another week of podcast webinars from Project Bring Me to Life. So stay tuned for more information of the August webinar series. Again, Jodi, just thank you so much for teaching Reiki. You've got so many people in the chat. They're all saying it was incredible, and we are just honored and blessed to have you as our Reiki Master today. And to all that are listening, we are so happy that you decided to wake up and shine on with us. So stay awake and shine on always.
Thank you for joining us.